everyone. Welcome or welcome back to Fear Given and Rethemed. We're your host, Casey.
And Sean, and today we'll be talking about the movies Sinister and Sinister 2.
Did you really just have to yell?
Yeah, because I was trying to portray the level of excitement I'm hoping that you have for doing this.
Sorry.
So I'm just going to be more and more animated, and then eventually you won't be able to help yourself.
Well, maybe if you didn't yell at me for drinking my drink during this, then...
Don't even. I did not yell at you for drinking it. I said if you could leave your cup at the house instead of coming in here and going...
It's
Yeah.
ASMR.
Well, you have your own channel for that.
Yeah. Go check that out.
All right, what are we talking about?
We're talking about the movie Sinister and Sinister 2.
Okay, what about them?
They are Blumhouse films.
They are.
They're pretty old. The first one came out in 2012.
So old.
Why was it named Sinister?
I don't know. Are we already in fun facts?
No, it's just a random question.
I have no idea.
I thought about it for a second. And I was
I'm
like,
not the writer or creator.
I'm not either.
I don't even know that they used the word sinister throughout the entire movie.
No, but I think because I noted it in my notes when they became sinister. I don't know. So
Like
we'll
the
see.
kids?
The whole thing became sinister.
Oh, the whole franchise.
So, like, what
Well,
is
I
the
don't know that it's a
definition of
franchise.
sinister?
I don't know. Do you want me to Google it? Did
Yeah.
you Google it?
No, I didn't. I actually forgot.
Okay. Well, you can go through the review and
Okay.
or the overview.
We're just winging it, guys. We
Yeah.
actually don't have notes.
That's a lie.
Okay, so the IMDb rating for this movie was a 6.8 out of 10. I gave it a 6 out of 10.
I gave it an 8.
Really?
Yeah, we're talking about Sinister, right? With Ethan Hawke?
Yeah.
We watched this movie together?
Yeah, I didn't think it was that great. Like, it wasn't worth... Like, I probably won't ever watch it again.
Well, I've got the definition of sinister if you're
Okay,
ready.
what is it?
Giving the impression that something harmful or evil is happening or will happening.
Oh, okay, so that does make complete, perfect sense.
Yeah.
For this movie.
I guess I know why they named it Sinister.
See? I come up with really good questions, don't I?
Yep.
Okay, so the overview for this movie is crime writer Ellison Oswald, which is played by Ethan Hawke, moves his family into a house where a horrific crime took place earlier, but his family doesn't know. He begins researching the crime in hopes of writing a book about it. Oswald examines video footage that he finds in the house to help him in his research, but he soon discovers more than he bargained for.
Yeah, he did. Sorry, was that an over-the-top response? My bad.
It's all right. Oh, no.
All right, so how do you want to do this? Because I don't have any of your notes,
Okay.
and I only have mine.
So we'll just, back and forth, I guess.
Okay.
So it's been a while since I've seen this movie. I don't even remember the first time I saw this. It was with you.
Was it?
Yeah, because...
I've seen it a good handful of times.
Well, it came out in 2012. We met in 2013, so...
Yeah. I probably saw it when it came out.
Maybe I did too.
I don't know that I went in theaters.
No, I don't know.
But I, at the very least, probably rented it at, Redbox or something.
I knew it was a little creepy, but judging by, the face that the boogeyman or whatever has in it, that'll stick with you.
Well, yeah.
But absolutely. I didn't know that it was,
yeah, I
correlated.
Like this face much more than other boogeyman films portray it.
Yeah.
Including, what was that one on Disney? Don't Look Under the Bed? That was creepy.
That was such a traumatizing
That haunted
movie.
me for a while. That should have never been on Disney.
Oh, I love that movie.
That was the one with the purple eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, yeah, that was a good one.
And,
that was a good portrayal.
The slime and
the slime part didn't bother me. It was their eyes and the teeth.
The teeth.
Because it was borderline vampire.
Yeah.
And they're just kidding, we're boogeymen. You're
I don't know. It was actually...
That was a good movie.
Yeah, I want to watch that.
Maybe that's what started our, horror stuff. That and Halloween Town.
And Goosebumps.
You're right. Yeah,
Goosebumps was probably
way before those.
Oh, so nostalgic.
Yeah. The mask. Ugh.
Mm-hmm. When I was researching on IMDb, So I said this to you yesterday, but I said it didn't say anything about it being a Blumhouse film, but clearly it says it's directed by Jason Blum. So
Was it directed or
produced, I'm
produced?
sorry.
Okay. Yeah,
My
he didn't
bad.
direct this, but he is the first named producer on it.
I was looking for Blumhouse Productions and I
Yeah.
couldn't find it anywhere. I even
Mm-mm.
you know
I
how you
don't
do
know. Do
control
they
find?
list Blumhouse Productions on like more recent ones, or is it still Jason Blum?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll look that up whenever I
Yeah.
have a pause.
So in this movie we find out pretty early that Ellison, the dad, is a true crime writer, and his wife doesn't know that he's moved them into a house where the events he's researching took place.
Yeah, so normally they. So he's done this on several occasions, it sounded like.
Mm-hmm.
And typically they're a few houses down.
Yeah.
This seemed like the first time that he moved his family into the crime scene.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd be ticked too.
If you were the wife.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd be ticked
Oh my
if you were the
gosh.
wife.
I would be.
You'd be livid.
I would, especially like if we have kids and
Ooh,
it's
yeah,
like,
that adds
yeah,
a whole nother layer to it.
no.
Um,
Go ahead.
so in one of the first main scenes, so the first scene that we open up with
Mm-hmm.
is family hanging out, 2011.
Yeah.
All right, so in this movie, they had what did they, five total home movies.
They were all really clever titles too.
They are very, very well done. So each small film that we talk about is from the. So I guess spoiler alert: these movies have been out for a while, so we're gonna spoil the heck out of them, like
Yeah.
we do every podcast.
Yeah.
But
That
so
goes without
all
saying.
of these films are made by the kids with typically a Super 8 camera or some other recording device. It really doesn't matter that it's specifically Super 8. That's not the important part.
No, but it's a big
Um,
part in the movies.
well, any type of technology, it just has to be recorded. So that could be a
That's
ham
true.
radio transmission, that could be whatever.
That's true.
Um, and they touched on that in the second movie more so that it really doesn't matter how it was done, it
Okay.
just matters that it was done.
Gotcha.
So the whole movie opens up with the first film, Family Hanging Out 2011. And the synopsis is uh, I'm just now reading these synopses that I just copied and pasted.
Oh,
My
plagiarism.
bad. Um, so 10-year-old daughter Stephanie Stevenson ties her family to a tree branch by nooses and then cuts the branch supporting them, which causes it to pull them upward, killing them.
I don't understand how she was able to do that by herself.
So I agree. These stories and the whole concept that like the kids drugged their families so that
Not
it was
realistic
easier
at all.
to manipulate them, it doesn't really track. It gets more
Mm.
and more unrealistic as the movie goes on in
Because
the first and the
if you
second.
think about it, if you drug somebody, they're pretty much dead weight.
Yeah,
So they literally cannot help you do anything.
right. So
That makes it
unless
more difficult.
Bagul was playing a bigger hand than just watching, I don't know how they did this. Plus, watching the movie, so I have an engineering background. I could not process how one tree branch that wasn't even that big, like thickness wise,
Yeah, was holding
was
all of
able
them.
to pull up not just one person, but
Oh.
a family of four.
They were all adults too,
Well, I think one of them was
like a
like a
teenager.
teenager or kid.
Oh,
But still, like, I don't know. You've got to have substantial weight in order to pull it up. Even like using physics and like
I don't think
using
they
like
thought about
fulcrum type
that
stuff. It
when
no,
they were filming this,
no.
because
So
it's
I'm really
not
curious
realistic.
how they did it. That would be interesting to see like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Um,
What was
so
another
the
one?
whole point of that setup was right after that scene,
Mm-hmm.
it goes into kind of talking about Ethan Hawke's family and his character. I don't know if you caught it, but I did, and I thought that's funny. He said something about go out on a limb.
I didn't catch
I
that.
thought that was really clever. Again, could have been completely non-connected, but I thought maybe too soon. Just maybe.
Yeah, that's funny.
What else you got?
Um, So yeah, those films, they start off really nice with like the family enjoying themselves,
Hmm.
and then it turns
Sinister.
sinister, exactly, by showing how the family gets murdered. So, with the family of five hanging out, you said that they were hanged in their backyard.
Yep.
There's another one called Family Barbecue of 79.
Yep.
All right,
Oh,
what is that one
there's.
about?
I take it back. There's six. I forgot to put a space in this one. So, Barbecue 79 had a 9-year-old boy chain his family inside a car and set the car on fire, burning them to death.
Oh, that was a way to go.
Yeah, that was
That's terrifying.
that was a rough one. Huh.
Um, Pool Party 86.
Pool Party 66.
Oh, sorry.
That's right.
66.
Bagul had a young 10-year-old boy tie his family onto pool chairs and pull each of them into the pool until they drowned to death.
I have a fun fact about that.
So this was probably my second favorite one.
Yeah.
My top one was Family Hanging Out. My second was probably Pool Party. Yeah, I thought this was super clever, and this
Mm-hmm.
was the first one where you got to see Bagul.
Yeah. Creepy.
Like, even underwater, he has a creepy face.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Like, to be underwater, I was just listening to a podcast, and this podcast will come up several times during this episode because it's a podcast by Falcon Creative Group.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started listening to episode 1 that they started in 2018. They are a design and entertainment firm, themed design entertainment firm in Orlando. So they write stories, they do architecture, they do design work, they do construction, sculpting, like a ton of stuff from beginning to end of projects for Disney, for Universal, for other theme parks, smaller ones. They're international, so they've done a ton of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them that I listened to was a case study about Atlantis over in China and how they had to kind of take the same brand that's in, is it the Bahamas?
Mm-hmm.
So they took that same brand and they had to rewrite a story to make it interesting for the Chinese people. But something they talked about that was really challenging was you don't really know how things are going to look behind water. So they had this huge beluga whale tank,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't just put stuff like in the middle of the tank. Like there's only a certain depth that you can see through like the windows on the side.
Mm-hmm.
But even then you have to super saturate the colors. You have to account for the distortion of your perspective to something at a certain depth in the water.
Mm.
So that's what it made me think of when we were watching this was they had to put that face precisely where they wanted it to under the water where it was recognizable but wasn't completely out of the scene. And that's not easy to do.
No.
So that was
It was
really
pretty
cool.
well done. Yeah,
What's
for
your
sure.
fun fact about it though?
You just have to wait until we get to fun facts.
Okay then. All right, did you want to finish going through the films?
Yeah, go through the films.
Okay. So next we have Lawn Work 86. This
Ugh.
was my least favorite because I didn't really
That one
understand
scared
what was
the crap
going on.
out of me.
It was just kind of a bunch of darkness and you were following a lawnmower. This kind of reminded me of Skinamarink in
Yeah.
the worst possible
This was
way.
like the jump scare, though.
Yeah, kinda. So Lawn Work 86 was it had a 10-year-old daughter run a lawnmower over her family as they were tied to the ground, killing them.
That's terrible.
Yeah, that was I don't know. It sounds
Do you think
worse
they
than
come
it
up with
was.
these, or do you think Bagul's just like, hey, I have this
I think
idea?
the writers probably came up with this, I'd
Yeah.
guess.
You know what I mean.
No, I think it would be a really fun. Yeah, I'll use the word fun. I bet it
Oh.
would be a really fun process in the writing room to be like, what's the craziest way a kid could murder their family without using like sheer brute force or strength? Well, we could tie him to a tree and then make it tied to another branch and then cut that branch down and yeah, use that weight. Like it's a cool process to think through that stuff.
I mean, I guess.
But
Yeah.
anyways, another film was Sleepy Time 98.
Yeah.
It had a 13-year-old Christopher Miller strap his family to their beds and then kill them by slitting their throats with a kitchen knife.
Ugh.
Yeah, I don't really
Terrible.
remember that one too much. And we will save the last film, which is House Painting 2012,
Yeah.
until later.
Yeah. There was
Okay.
another jump scare that scared me is like when he there was a strange noise coming from a box inside the house cuz they, were just moving in and they had empty boxes around. And so um he goes downstairs, the dad, and then the son pops out and starts screaming. And
Yeah,
apparently he's like having a night terror or something.
he looked like a
I
contortionist. Like
know.
I thought it was gonna be like a ballet dancer popping out like real elegantly, and then I didn't. It didn't click for me until like 10 seconds later. Oh, that's the little boy. Why
Yeah.
did he come up so slowly?
I don't know. It was so
Because it
strange.
was unnatural looking.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one didn't sit right with me.
Um, do you remember the little girl when she's painting on the wall?
Yeah.
So what that reminded me of. Have you ever seen Banksy's painting of Girl with Balloon? He's
No.
Banksy has done it. I don't know if it's a he or she. So they've done it.
Who's Banksy?
You've never heard of Banksy?
No.
Banksy is the one where they made an art print, and it was in like a museum or a bank or something, and he didn't want this art piece to be sold, so he put like a paper shredder inside the frame of it. So when it was sold, he like activated it and it like shredded it.
No, I've never heard of that.
All right, I'll show you that later. I may have those details completely wrong,
That's funny.
or maybe I'm just thinking of a movie and I just correlated it to Banksy.
Or
Anyways,
maybe this was one of your weird dreams you have.
that is very highly possible because they've been super weird lately. But anyways, the girl painting reminded me of a ripoff version of Banksy's Girl with Balloon. You'd recognize it if you saw it. I
Probably.
guarantee it. So I'll show you it later. But
Kind of like the Rainbow Fish book. You remember that?
I do remember that. But
Oh, I liked that book.
we we had to do that with teeny tiny squares, like 1 inch by 1 inch squares of like tissue paper.
To do the scales?
Yeah, and we had to like do that in art class. I don't know where that memory came from.
Oh,
Wow.
you pulled that out of like nowhere.
Yeah, it just boop. It was at Crystal Springs Elementary before I got sick and had to be homeschooled.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Anyways,
So yeah, as you mentioned the drawing, so his kids start drawing the murders and they don't know because I mean he doesn't like they don't like go in the room or
right,
whatever.
his office is
His
supposed to be
office.
locked.
Yeah, and he's not talking to his kids about these murders. So
No,
they
it's
just
not a dinner table conversation.
no, so they just know because there are all of these dead kids just showing up and running around the house
Yeah,
and basically like talking to them.
yeah,
The little kids can see them, obviously.
yeah. I think the older son learned it possibly from school
Probably.
because like it wasn't.
Well, it's a big like town secret, not a secret, but it's like a big town like
It's a well-known
yeah.
thing. So yeah, kids in his class would typically tell him whatever his dad was working on.
Yeah. And then after the little girl starts drawing or whatever, that's when his wife Tracy finds out that they're living in the house where the murder happened,
Mm-hmm.
and they start yelling at each other. And he basically cares more about his book and fame at this point than the safety of his family.
He cares about his legacy. I don't think it's fame that he's chasing. He wants to leave something important behind.
That makes sense.
Because that's what he talks about near the end.
So
She asked why he keeps writing when he already. So, this is going to be a fun rabbit trail that you're going to hate. So, one of her quotes is, "Your kids are your legacy," in response to him writing. The little girl at the end
yeah.
says, "Don't worry, Daddy, I'll make you famous again."
Yeah.
But the one that really took the kicker for me was the wife said during the first argument, when he's watching the show of his own interview, when he's on like a talk show,
Yeah.
and the wife says, "What if that was your 15 minutes?"
Oh.
Do you,
Oh my
would you like to
gosh.
take a stab at what that quote reminded me of? Pretty personal and
You
pretty.
will never like. I thought we weren't supposed to hold grudges and
Oh, I don't
stuff.
hold grudges. I just remember this oh so fondly.
It was a joke.
I don't think you realize how much it impacted me.
Okay, so when was this? Like, I don't know, 10 years ago?
This was within 6 months of us dating. Like it was still real fresh, and this very well possibly could have been within the first 3 months of us dating.
Well, now you guys know that he hangs stuff over my head
I don't
pretty.
hang anything over your head. I just remember this, and it comes up often as that
It,
little
that's
nagging
hanging it
thought of
over my
like,
head.
it's not over your head, it's in my head.
Okay, so anyways, I don't even know what the argument was about. Or I don't even think it was an argument.
I think it was no, it wasn't an argument. It was just like a an offhanded comment because I said I think it was we were talking like it was a normal conversation, and I think I said something about well, what if I was a celebrity, like or maybe we were talking about like what would you do if you were recognized in public, like and you were a celebrity and you had like had people following you,
Mm-hmm.
and what did you say?
I said, "You're not celebrity material."
And that was an absolute gut punch.
You want to know like why I said that
It was
though?
probably a joke. I
No, it
hope.
wasn't. It was actually a compliment because if you think about it, no, don't look at me like that. Many celebrities are like rude and they are like money hungry and they just want to be recognized and they just have all these bad qualities.
Hmm.
You're not celebrity material. I don't think that you would be a good celebrity.
You get all
That's
right.
not
You
a
started
bad.
talking real positive, and you were spinning it real well,
No, no, no.
and
It
then you
wouldn't.
just
I would not be.
tank dived.
I could not be a celebrity. I'm sorry. I just couldn't.
Hmm. What if this podcast blows up one day, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I noticed your voice. You're on that one podcast."
I mean, that's not really being a celebrity. That's just like. So
Hmm.
you want to like people to know everything about you
No, I don't care about that.
and
I
follow
think
you and
it's.
take pictures of you and
I don't want all of that.
that's
I
what
think
being a
it's
celebrity is.
not necessarily.
Oh.
No, I don't think so. I
Oh
think there's more
gosh.
to it than that.
Now this is going to turn into another
It's
argument
not an
and then
argument. It's just the wife's quote of "What if that was your 15 minutes?" reminded me of that.
I get it. She wasn't very
Supportive.
supportive, no.
It was like
But I
she was
think
only
she was
looking at
tired
100%. Like
of
her
him.
context was completely different from the context that you said it. Like yours was a joke, I think, at
Yes,
the beginning.
it was.
But I took it as like a "you're not good enough to be a
No,
celebrity."
that is
Was like my
definitely.
internal
And you
interpretation.
know what assuming does?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Exactly. So you should have
Um,
came to me and said, "What did you really mean by that?" You know, communication.
that was like 3 months in. I think I tried to break up with you like
We
a
just
month
got
before that.
we just got okay with communication. So,
Like just now, like this
no.
month,
No.
or then.
No, like recently, like within the past year,
I mean,
I
we're always
think.
gonna get. I think we're always gonna get better at it.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry.
You told me that this was going to go down a rabbit trail and you were right.
On that same note, another note I had was it seems like none of his family really thought he was good at what he did. Like none of the
No.
family ever acted in the slightest like he was ever good at writing. And he had done a really good book. Like he had been
Yeah.
on an interview circuit. And his daughter, his wife, his son, they were all like, again, like, you really, are you kidding?
I think they were just tired of how
Like having to move and everything.
that and like also he seemed more interested in his writing than he did them. So I
They
think to
weren't that
them,
interesting, to be honest.
they're his children, his family. If you were more into your writing and your books and stuff than you were your family, yeah, I would be irritated too.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a balance to it. And I think there's a way to
I
get
think
them
I
involved.
think he was also
Maybe.
addicted to it and obsessed with trying to find
Yeah,
and you can get obsessed with
sure.
that. Like
Yeah, you can get
it,
obsessed with anything.
well, yeah, but I think most people with like true crime and stuff like that and like if you're like a detective or whatever, I
Yeah.
feel like you're like
Like, that's the only motivation you have is, well, I solved the last one.
right.
I
So
can do it
you
again. I know I
right, and
can.
it takes so much of your time and so much of your
Yeah, that's not a 9 to 5 job.
no, it's
I
not.
couldn't do
It's
that.
like a 24/7 job. So,
Yeah.
and it messes with your mind too.
Yeah,
So
your
like
psyche is like always on guard.
mhm.
It's nuts, I'd imagine.
Yep. So, can you talk about the symbolism that's in this movie? The pagan deity,
Deity?
deity, whatever.
Um, sure. What about it?
Do you have any notes on it?
I do, and I have them listed under the second movie. But
Oh,
we
okay.
can.
Well, I was just gonna say that this
Is Bagul real?
Bagul is Mr. Boogie.
Boogie. All right. Is Bagul a real pagan deity?
I don't know.
Oh, well, no.
Okay.
Not. Kind of, but not really.
So he's an eater of children.
He is.
He traps them into his netherworld and consumes their soul.
Did you know he is not purple, though?
What?
He's not a purple people eater. He's just a child eater. Do you remember that song in, what is it, No Hard Feelings? The movie that just came out like last year with Jennifer Lawrence?
Yes.
And the kids playing Man-Eater?
Yes.
That just started playing in my head. Child eater.
Oh my goodness.
I think I'm just going to make it my mission to sing like a line of a song in every...
Starting with this one?
No, I did it one or two episodes ago. I don't know. They all run together.
Yeah.
What did you think about Ethan Hawke's character's aversion to lights?
What do you mean?
He never turned on lights.
No,
the only thing
it
he
was really
would use
frustrating.
were flashlights.
I even put that in my notes. I was like,
I put down that he hates house lights.
yeah, he does.
He's like worse than any dad that's like, shut that light off if you're not in the room.
Right, like, okay, you hear a weird sound.
Nah, keep the lights off. I like the mystery of it.
Yeah, let's just find out what it is in the complete darkness. And then the lighting that they had in this movie, like, even just, like, the effects and stuff, it was very dark.
Yeah, this is not a movie I would want to go see at the drive-in.
No.
You wouldn't be able to see
know,
anything.
Yeah, you wouldn't know what's going on.
No.
Anyways, he finally comes to his senses.
Yeah.
After, like...
And he pulls out a flashlight.
Yeah. And he, eventually they get out of the house and they leave in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what did they do after that? They move into, then it just like randomly shows them moving into another home, together. And then what is the sixth movie?
The sixth movie is House Painting 2012.
Yeah, so what does she do? The little girl.
After true crime novelist Ellison Oswalt had moved into Stephanie's house with his family to investigate the murders, he moved back into his old house after the Bagul had been haunting him. However, his 7-year-old daughter Ashley is manipulated by Bagul into drugging Ellison and the rest of her family, her mother and her brother Trevor, so she can axe them to death and then paint the walls with their blood before also being abducted into his netherworld. I didn't realize that. So they just moved back into their previous house. Because remember, they still owned it.
Oh.
That's why money was tight, because they were...
I thought they moved into a completely...
No,
okay,
I didn't realize that until
that
now.
makes sense because it's such a nice house.
Right, and the whole concept was why they almost couldn't be killed in the house where the little girl was being kind of traumatized in the beginning. Yeah. Because the whole principle was you live in a house where murders took place. Mm-hmm. The next house you're in, that's the house that you die.
Right.
And then the people that move into that house after you,
yeah,
when they move to another house, that's the new house. So it's like, it's a weird pattern.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Because how often do you buy a house knowing that there's been a murder? Or abduction, or some weird type of death.
I mean,
maybe they don't disclose it. Maybe not every state has to. I know that's been a topic of...
I don't think every state, you have to. I don't know. I don't have any realtor experience. But I know that if we were going to buy a house and it looked a little creepy...
I think we should ask in any circumstance.
Yeah, in any circumstance.
Unless
like, has anything...
built it. Yeah.
Has anything bad happened here? Especially if the asking price is
super low.
Yeah.
Maybe it wouldn't matter. Maybe we'd be like, no questions asked.
No.
We'll be there. No, still?
No, I would still ask.
Okay. So a few other notes I have about this movie before you go into your fun facts
Okay.
is, did you recognize Father Burke in Rings was the professor in this movie?
Yes.
His name is Vincent D'Onofrio. It was really weird to see him not as a villain. Like, he was a pretty wholesome character. I kept waiting for him to also be a bad guy and like hold information.
Yeah.
That was not the case. The dead kid's makeup near the end reminded me of that crackle paint
Oh, yeah.
effect that we did on like the horror dolls. That was
Mm-hmm.
really cool.
Yeah, that was a good effect.
And then my last note for this one was, we talked about the composer a little bit while we were watching the movie and how I really liked the sounds and the audio tracks.
Yeah.
So this one, the composer was Christopher Young. He only composed the music for the first film, and you can very subtly hear the differences between the first and the second film audio tracks. But there is a pretty clear divide between them if you really listen closely. They have very different styles, but they try to make them cohesive.
That's
So,
one of my fun facts, but okay,
what?
cool. The music.
Of this one?
Yeah.
Oh.
You weren't supposed to look up fun facts for
I
this
looked up
one.
the composer while we were watching the movie.
Oh.
So,
whatever.
a lot of these tracks reminded me of kind of a crossover between Twilight and The Ring, is what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
I would like to read a few movies that Christopher Young has also done the music for, if that's okay.
No, thank you.
That's rude. So he's done the music for Entrapment, which was the Sean Connery film way back when. The Grudge, Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities on Netflix,
Cool.
The Offering, which I thought was cool, Pet Cemetery,
Ooh.
Hellraiser,
Interesting.
and if I think one of our viewers, I'm gonna have a psychic moment and say one of our viewers has the name Alan. So
Maybe.
this is just for Alan. Nobody else can listen to this. So Christopher Young also did the audio for the Country Bears movie.
That's so cool.
It's very weird.
That is strange. Like,
So Entrapment, The Grudge, Hellraiser, Pet Cemetery, and the Country Bears.
was it like a knockoff version of the Country Bears?
No.
Like
It was like
Scary Bears?
the Country Bears. Like,
The ride.
yes, it was the movie that was based off of the ride. Like, I saw that and I just had to stop and go, you gotta be joking. So
Yeah,
I went
that's
and looked
really
up
random.
Country Bears to see if it actually brought me back to him, and it did. Really, really weird. But my favorite song that was used was not written by Christopher Young, and it was a song called Gyroscope.
Gyroscope.
Yep. It's
Cool.
the one where they used it at least 2 or 3 times. It's like the dum dum da dum dum da dum. That's gonna be awful. All right,
I wouldn't know
So
what you're
it's-
talking about.
I'll play it for you later. So it's
Cool.
performed by a group called Boards of Canada, which is actually a Scottish electronic group.
From Canada.
No, their name is Boards of Canada, but they are
Boys
actually
of Canada.
Boards of Canada. BOARDS of Canada.
I can spell.
And they're a Scottish electronic group.
From Canada.
No.
Then why is their title Boards from Canada?
They're not boards from Canada. They're Boards of Canada. And I don't know that they have any
Listen.
correlation to Canada. I have no idea. It's just their band name.
Why are you getting so hyped
Because
up?
you kept saying from Canada.
Sorry.
Jeez Louise. All right. That's all I've got for the first movie.
That's it?
That's all.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so my first fun fact is that writer Robert Cargill got the idea for this movie, for the script, from a nightmare he had after watching The Ring. What you doing over there?
Hold on. Keep going. I feel like I have that written somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure you do. Even though you weren't supposed to look up anything about the first movie.
No. I have the same In the second movie, I had the fun fact, and I
Oh.
put Bagul was inspired by C. Robert Cargill, Sinister screenwriter, because of his nightmare of Samara Morgan from The Ring.
Oh, okay. So it just like, yeah, okay. All right,
Yeah,
that
so it's
makes
a fun
sense.
fact about both. All
Cool.
right.
So around 27 minutes in the pool party, 66, they call them snuff films, by the way.
Okay.
Um, so this was extremely difficult to film, according to Cargill. The actors and actresses who played the doomed family were tied down to lawn chairs and pulled underwater in reality, and the filmmakers had to be extremely careful that nobody was harmed while the filming the scene took place. Further complications occurred while filming the killer underwater. Nicholas King, who played Bagul, had to wear weights and stay underwater for several seconds while he was filmed. Since the scene was filmed entirely on Super 8 film, care had to be taken to ensure that the camera was properly rolling and that the cartridge and light meter were working. Otherwise, the scene would have to be reshot numerous times.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that's crazy, huh?
Yeah,
So yeah, you were right. He was underwater, all right.
that's really cool.
Another fun fact: the family that was hanged on a tree were all played by stuntmen. However, when the scene was first done, the stunt coordinator botched the preparations for the scene, resulting in the actors being legitimately hanged and choked. Fortunately, they survived, and the coordinator was fired soon after.
Yeah, I would hope so.
That's so scary. In this movie, there is very little blood, almost no cursing, and no sex in this movie because the filmmakers were hoping for a PG-13 rating. However, they still got an R rating based on the content alone.
Jeez.
Yeah, but I didn't realize that there was no like
Do you know what a pirate's favorite movie is?
no what
You don't have any guesses?
an R-rated movie.
No, they're pirates. They like movies about the sea. I didn't come up with that.
I can't with you. According to co-writer Cargill, I thought he was the actual writer. Anyways, excuse me, Bagul, Mr. Boogie, or Boogie as I like to call it, was originally intended to look more like Johnny Depp from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
What?
The version of Willy Wonka. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. After going over this idea, it was decided that the deity, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Looking like Willy Wonka would be too silly for the film and not scary or mysterious enough. Finally,
Yeah.
finally, a photo was found on Google Images that Cargill bought the rights to, and this was the basis for the final Bagul as seen in the finished film.
I cannot even fathom Willy Wonka look-alike as this character. Like, I just wouldn't have
No,
been able to take it seriously.
no, that's why they didn't do
It would
it.
have been like Babadook all over again.
That's so true.
Like,
Babadook is so
you
weird
have
looking.
to have a good visual of the antagonist, or it doesn't work.
Right.
Wow.
Not Willy Wonka.
Wow.
The makers of this movie scoured the internet for weeks looking for the most obscure and creepy soundtrack they could find. While Christopher Young composed a large number of the background scores for the movie, Robert Cargill bought the rights to music by Oliver Judge Hydrogen and Boards of Canada to use in the snuff film clips because of their mysterious and eerie noises. Young's soundtrack is available on CD, but the CD doesn't include the additional songs. Really?
Yeah. This is a banger.
Are you allowed to do this?
That was Gyroscope.
Okay.
About 15 seconds of it by Boards of Canada. Yeah, I think we can use it now.
Why? Did you buy the rights?
No, I only played a certain snippet of it. I don't know the exact rules, but what's going to happen? The 10 people listening are going to report us and shut us down? What's the worst thing that can happen?
Honestly, I don't even think
If
10
FBI
people. That's a
comes
stretch.
busting through our door and they go, "You have to pay the rights to use that song."
The Boards of Canada suing you.
Where did they sue you from? From Canada.
Okay, I have a a trivia question for you.
All right, I'm ready. Shoot.
What does Bagul translate to?
It translates to. Oh, I thought I wrote this down. Wait. Boogeyman.
Good job. Boogeyman.
Boogeyman.
Another fun fact, similar fictional characters to Bagul include Pennywise the Clown from Stephen King's It and Slender Man from the creepypasta internet trend,
Ooh,
and the
love
psychotic mystery murderer from the novel Syndrome E, which I've never heard of.
Me neither. That's cool.
All right, last trivia question.
Okay.
What is the program name that Ellison uses on his laptop?
Program name that Ellison uses on his laptop for what?
Like when he's doing the, like, editing the videos and stuff.
He had a Mac.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's either iMovie or Final Cut Pro.
No.
Was it just QuickTime?
Yeah, Apple QuickTime.
I didn't know you could edit stuff in QuickTime.
Yeah, apparently you can.
Oh, that's cool.
All right,
Where you
on
at?
to Sinister number 2.
Came out 2015. IMDb rating 5.3 out of 10. Casey's rating,
5 out of 10.
Sean's rating 7 out of 10.
What? You give
Yeah.
these movies way too much credit.
Yeah, probably. I
right.
enjoyed this one. I think it was way less realistic.
Do you want to read the longer version of the overview or the really short one?
I will read both, but before that, would you like to hear the tagline?
Yeah.
Be careful, children at play.
Slow children at play.
I mean, I don't know what their intelligence level.
You know that
were.
sign in the neighborhoods where it says slow children at play?
They had one right outside of your house, didn't they? You were going to make the same joke about me if I hadn't said it first.
I know. That's funny.
All right, how about this? You read the short version, and I'll read the expanded version, director's cut.
All right, so the short version of this is it's really short.
This is Sinister 2.
Compared to yours. A young mother and her twin sons move into a rural house that's marked for death.
Wow.
That's it.
That really sums it up.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to give you the real detailed version.
All right, you have 10 minutes. Go.
Okay. In a farmhouse near a cornfield where Ellison Oswalt lived, a boy, Dylan, has nightmares and is visited by ghostly children led by Milo. Dylan lives with his mother, Courtney Collins, who has just left her abusive husband, and his brother, Zach, and is forced by the ghost to go to the basement to watch home films in Super 8 of families being slaughtered. Not at the Super 8. Films in Super 8 format, just to be clear. Ex-Deputy So-and-so is investigating the crime spree of Bagul and burning down the houses where the deceased families lived to protect other families. He travels to the farmhouse and finds Courtney and her sons living there. He tells them that he is a private investigator, and he protects her against a bluff of her ex-husband to keep the children with him. Then he begins a love affair with Courtney.
What?
That's kind of a stretch. They kissed like one time. I would hardly consider that a love affair.
They really liked each other, okay?
Wow. They were like elementary school. Liked each other then.
So it was cute.
All right. It's not a love affair.
Whatever.
Meanwhile, Dylan tells...
Yeah, I didn't write this.
Yeah, I'd hope not. Dylan tells the ghost that he will not see any video again. But Zach, the other twin brother, who is the real choice of the ghost, replaces him. When their father succeeds in getting a court order to have the custody of the children, Courtney is forced to go with the children. What will happen to the Collins family? I'll tell you.
They die.
Almost die. Half of them die.
True.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 20% of them die.
Yeah. So, Deputy So-and-so is not on the force anymore. So, he got fired. Because he, in the first movie...
Burned down houses.
No. He said that he helped Ellison with the investigation when he was not supposed to.
Yeah, he
gave
took
him documents.
files.
Yeah, files or whatever.
Yeah. Why are you looking at me like that? We don't need all that silence in here.
Sorry, I was I'm just
You zoning out over there? All right.
yeah, I'm exhausted.
I'll
Okay.
tell some of my notes then
Yeah,
if you want to nap.
let's do that.
All right. Uh, one of my favorite quotes, actually two. I have several favorite quotes. I'll just go through them.
I have a few too.
Oh, well, I'll go first. You can't stop evil. You can only protect yourself from it. Who said that?
The priest.
The priest. Yep.
I wanted to
Oh.
say that.
All right. Well.
Well,
Do
but so and so
you
had
want-
asked him, "Do you believe in evil?"
Oh.
I think that's a good question.
Yeah. Do you believe in evil?
Yeah.
Me too.
Dr. Evil. Just kidding.
Another good quote was, "The movies make the dreams go away," which I think is interesting because it's almost kind of an opposite sentiment to what we typically think. So normally we think, I just realized that you have your hair up in your turban thing so that you don't get it caught.
Well, I also
That
just
is
took a shower.
super attractive,
I'm
just for the
sorry.
record.
I know. Well,
Anyways, so the movies make the dreams go away. It feels like the opposite sentiment to typically you watch horror movies and you have nightmares. So the movies cause the nightmares. But in this context, the movies make the dreams go away. What? Why are you snickering at me?
I'm just laughing at you.
Alright.
Another another quote I like is rutabaga.
I have that in my my trivia questions.
I
That's
don't-
fun.
I don't understand why she says it twice.
In case they didn't, well, she probably said it to each of the twins.
Rutabaga. Rutabaga!
Yeah, one of them was maybe hard of hearing, so she said it a little louder for that one. I don't
Anyways.
know. Another good quote was, "Never drink anything fluorescent green unless it's Mountain Dew."
That's true.
Yeah, that was
Or Mountain Lightning.
That wasn't even yeah, that wasn't even in the movie. That was something that you quoted. So, yeah, Casey's quote, my favorite quote of hers during this movie was, "Never drink anything fluorescent green. Pause. Unless it's Mountain Dew or Mountain Lightning or whatever the other off-brand ones are."
Surge.
Another one that really hit me hard was, "Why'd you pick him? You're not smart enough or good enough."
Who said that?
So that was the other twin that didn't get picked first.
Oh, yeah.
He
That was
said
sad.
to Milo, "Why'd you pick him?" And Milo said, like, straight into his eyes, "You're not smart enough or good enough." And since, like,
What a jerk.
well, from a personal basis, like, talk about lies from the enemy, like that. Ooh,
For sure.
that's spot
literally
on.
from the enemy. Yeah.
Right. So Milo had some.
He was the enemy.
He was, yeah.
I mean, he was
Um,
making people, like, kill their families.
What was your scariest scene for this movie? Do you have one?
I didn't really think that this one was scary. I did. Okay, yeah, I do. So the Sunday church service one, the film,
Ooh, yeah.
when okay, so they would have um one of the kids, actually the main kid, Milo.
Mhm.
He had, I don't even know who he chose. I guess it was his family, obviously.
Yeah.
So, had them lay down in like a circle, like, well, poisoned him with the fluorescent Mountain Dew,
Mhm.
and then laid them down in a circle,
Mhm.
and then tied them up, put rats
Uh-huh.
underneath a communion cup.
Would you like me to read my note on this? Because you are killing me. It's like you've just discovered a typewriter for the first time, and you're like, you're just explaining it so slowly. Anyways, all right. So, I'm sorry. We got to speed this up. I don't even know where my note is.
Well, then I'll keep going.
All right, I got it. Milo's tape. poison communion cup. Then he put rats underneath the cups on top of people's stomachs. Then he put hot coals on top so the rats have to chew through the flesh to get out. Boom. Done. So I thought this was almost funny.
No.
And I'll tell you that because I've seen this done in another movie.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It was done, replace the communion cups with just like a metal pail. And they did this in Too Fast, Too Furious.
I wouldn't know because I flippin' hate those movies.
I love those movies, even though they get more and more outrageous as they go. And I still will want to see the next one. So
No.
anyways, this was like a... this is almost funny to me because of that.
I didn't know that until you told me that because I don't watch those movies, so.
Well, whatever.
But anyways, yeah, that was disgusting.
My
Scared
scariest
me.
scene was when the detective is shining his flashlight on and off in the church.
Oh, yeah.
And he flips the flashlight on and he sees shadows. He flips the flashlight off, they disappear. Turns it back on, they get a little closer, turns it
Yeah.
off. And then he turns it back on, they're gone. So he's like, all right, that's weird. So he turns it off, turns it back on, and Mr. Boogie shows up like right in Homeboy's face.
Yeah.
So
Is that
this-
when you jumped and
this was-
Samara fell off your lap or jumped off
She
your
did
lap?
not fall off my lap. She jumped off my lap because we both got scared. So, yes, this also reminded me of spilling popcorn in the movies watching
my
the trailer
gosh.
for The Nun 2.
Oh, so funny.
Something I thought was neat was he talked about when he was a police officer. And I think one of the kids asked, what is it like seeing people or seeing bad people all day? And his response was really eye-opening because he kind of flipped it and he phrased it in a way of, what?
I was just looking at the time, bro.
He phrased it in a way of he never saw bad people. He just saw people on their bad days.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really insightful way to put it, especially to a kid
Right.
that typically only sees kind of black and white in terms of that.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, Mr. Boogie or Boogie.
Mhm.
When he just shows up, just standing there, like, and you can like see his silhouette and like he's a man and stuff.
yeah,
He looks like Michael Jackson.
kind of. I thought he looked like Sting, the
Oh,
wrestler,
yeah,
not
yeah.
the musician.
Yes, let's be very clear.
Which Sting we're talking
Oh my gosh.
about?
The dad gets on my nerves.
Talk about the ick.
Ugh.
What's worse than an ick? Like, that was... Surely domestic abuse has to be a different consideration than just an ick. Ick is like a minor frustration.
Yeah, like
This is
you,
something that, like...
like you not, or curling your toes when you're sitting on the toilet. That's an ick.
Is it really?
Yesterday
Way
we
to
asked.
put me on blast.
Yesterday we asked each other what.
What's our biggest ick about each other?
Yeah, basically.
What did...
I said for you.
Oh, for me it's...
You have to wait to eat anything. Like,
So we will get to the movies an hour early. I'll wait till like half an hour early. I'll get popcorn. And I refuse to touch it until the movie starts. Like, not even the trailers. I will wait until the trailers finish and the actual movie starts.
it drives me
And I do the same thing at the house.
crazy.
So like when you're flipping, you're like, what are we going to watch? I don't know. While I was making my plate, you could have been figuring that out. But no, now my food's going to be cold.
I'm sorry, when you were making your plate?
When I was making my plate, not cooking.
Wait.
Not cooking.
No, go back. When you were making your plate?
This event that I'm making up in my head is on the nights that I cook, which I know is less percentage-wise than you. I'll admit that. Don't look at me like that until we have a YouTube channel where people can see the look you're giving me. Get out of here.
Okay.
Go home.
I'm just saying. Oh, and then you want to tell them what my ick is? Or what your ick for me is?
I think I responded with, I don't have any icks about you because you're the best wife ever.
That's a good
What was
boy.
my ick, though? Because now I don't remember.
Probably my turban.
It's probably the turban that you wear when you get out of the
Or
shower.
my Stanley.
Or your Stanley, or... Yeah,
Oh, keep going.
I hate that cup.
Keep going.
It's so top-weighted, it falls over if you look at it the wrong way.
It's my emotional support water cup.
It's your emotional support sippy cup.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Well, it doesn't like you either.
Hate it.
What else do you not like about me? Just keep going.
None of these things are about you. They're about the things that you have. Like, I don't like the turban that you own. I'm not a big fan of the Stanley Cup that you own. Like, so like, none of these are personal attacks like you have about me and like
Okay.
my curled toes.
But guess what?
What?
You know I have icks.
Nope.
Tell me.
Just when you're under the weather and then you are feeling sick.
Tell me.
I really can't think of anything right now.
When
I'll,
I drink
yeah, when you
or
drink,
when I
you get
gulp?
nuts. Huh?
Huh? No, not alcohol. I mean, that is
Yes,
true.
you do gulp
I
when you
gulp.
drink and you slurp. You don't like so I specifically told you before this episode, please don't bring your Stanley Cup over here because there's a moment in the last episode where I don't even think I cut it. I think I was so aggravated I just left it in because I was listening back editing and you heard this it talk about triggering moments. That was one.
I'm sorry.
Anyways, um so Milo, the leader of the Dead Kids, I put him. I thought he had a very Children of the Corn vibes. Like he was straight up Isaac.
Was it not because they were literally in the corn?
Fun fact: the rural farmhouse and cornfield setting were specifically chosen as an homage to Children of the Corn. Milo
Oh,
was directly modeled off of Isaac from Children of the Corn.
I can see that.
Yeah, like straight out of the book.
Yeah.
Um, talked about that, talked about all that.
I don't have any more notes, so you can give me some fun facts or trivia if you want
Sweet.
for the last couple of minutes.
So throughout the last episode or the last movie and this one, we talked about audio being a big component that I really honed in on. We talk about it every so often. And something else I was listening to from Falcon Creative Group, they talked about audio specifically and how it can enhance a thematic experience, whether it's in a movie or in a walkthrough or a ride or something like that, any environment. And typically, it's only really acknowledged or pointed out if the audio is done wrong or it's missing. And it's often like the most underappreciated thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was really interesting the way they put that. Like, audio engineers seldom get the respect and props that they deserve
Yeah.
because you either do your job well and no one notices, or rarely anybody does, or you do your job even slightly off kilter and you're like shredded for it.
Mm.
So,
Hmm.
um,
Interesting.
for the second movie, on that note, the composer was Tom and Andy. That's all one word. Tom and Andy, all lowercase.
Tom and Andy. Oh, yeah, you were listening to this earlier.
I was on the way to the gym.
Yeah.
They are also known for, they did the music for Haunt, which we watched that a few months ago.
Oh, yeah.
47 Meters Down, both movies. Resident Evil,
Mm.
The Strangers,
Ooh, I like that
The
movie.
Hills Have Eyes,
Oh, that movie creeps me
and
out.
several more. So,
Cool.
very talented composer.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a really cool visual effect near the end. Remember when all the kids were like running around the room throwing papers up in the air
Mm-hmm.
and you got to see it from the kids' perspective?
Yeah.
So like you saw all the kids doing this and then it flipped and you got to see Deputy So-and-so's perspective. And for him, he didn't see the kids. He just saw all these
Right.
random things being thrown up.
Yeah.
So that was a really cool effect that I think would have been really easy for them to just show it in one perspective and not the other
Mm-hmm.
and make it way simpler. But they didn't stop there, so that was cool.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good too.
Did you want me to read through the film? Like the film's the
Sorry.
breakdown? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them that they show in this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. These don't have years on them, at least in the ones that I found. So first one is Fishing Trip. It shows a 9-year-old boy named Ted. Hey, that's my dad's name.
Mm-hmm.
Shows a 9-year-old boy named Ted who had tied his own family upside down over a lake. Then an alligator approaches and bites each family member's heads off, killing them.
I do not like that one.
That was a good one. It was
Yeah.
unrealistic because I don't know how the kid strung up his whole family,
Right,
but
without getting eaten himself.
yeah, I don't know. But I love like
Again, unrealistic.
alligators killing people in that fashion. Like
That's
that's
traumatizing.
realistic. Like
Yeah,
that's
that is realistic.
straight Florida man. Like
Yeah.
another one was Christmas morning. It shows a family in their pajamas and they're tied up, not with rope. They're tied up using Christmas lights. Did you notice that?
I didn't notice that, but that's very
I thought it
sad.
was cool. It was very on theme. A 14-year-old girl named Emma shovels snow on top of each family member until they freeze to death.
It's sad.
Third one out of five is Kitchen Remodel. It shows a family with their arms tied to the ceiling. A 12-year-old boy named Peter floods the room with water. Then he takes an electric cable and throws it on the floor to electrocute his family to death while wearing rubber boots to protect himself.
That's so smart.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a terrible way to die, but
Um, so the Sunday service, the official synopsis is it shows a Catholic family being nailed to the floor of a church. I missed that they were nailed to
ooh,
the floor.
that's bad.
The family is in the shape of a pentagram.
Ugh, that's
A
worse.
14-year-old named Milo Jacobs puts rats on each family member's stomachs. Then he places the rats inside metal tins before placing hot coals on top of them. The rats eat through the family's stomachs to escape the heat. The rats then escape and run away, leaving the family to bleed to death.
Oh,
That was
so
a really
disgusting.
like gruesome scene
It
watching the
was.
rats pop out.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
nasty.
And the last one was a trip to the dentist. It shows a family tied to chairs in a dentist's office. The family has retractors on their cheeks to keep their mouths wide open.
I don't remember this one.
I don't either. Maybe they made it up and I'm just continuing. Who knows?
What?
A 7-year-old girl named Catherine takes a huge drill and drills her family members' teeth in the roof of their mouths until the drill goes through their heads, killing them.
Um, I don't remember that at all.
I don't either.
What? What?
I don't know.
What the what?
What the what?
Okay,
All right.
we might
You
have
ready
to
for
go back and look at that.
fun facts?
Yeah.
All right. Do you have anything else to add?
No.
Well then, so we already talked about Bagul was inspired by Samara Morgan.
Yeah.
Um, you already said what the code word was for the kids to run away. You said it was rutabaga.
Yeah.
Did you know that the actor that played Bagul, Nicholas King, actually had Bagul put on his license plate?
Really?
Yep. Baguul.
Why?
Because he was Bagul. I don't know. Who knows? Did you know that the only film in this movie that was actually shot on Super 8 was the Christmas Morning film? All the others were on 16 millimeter.
Oh. Well, that's interesting. Maybe
Yep.
like to give like the nostalgic Christmas morning effect.
I think it was that as well as kind of the timing of like the decades that these
Oh,
things happened.
that
I
makes
believe.
sense. Yeah.
About an hour into the movie, there's an image of the red-faced demon from Insidious on the professor's desk. Did you
Really?
catch that?
I did not.
Well, yep. Also, because of Jason Blum, there was a potential for a crossover with Insidious.
Mm.
Do you want to take a guess as to what the crossover would have been between Insidious and Sinister? It was completely canned because the second Sinister got really bad ratings.
Yeah, it was pretty awful.
So the third movie was canceled, and this crossover was
What
like
would be the
completely ditched.
crossover?
Yep,
Um,
Sinister and Insidious.
well, it each had something to do with like the child being like haunted by the boogeyman, basically.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
in Sinister.
What?
In Sinister.
That was gonna be
That
the
was
title.
the pitch for the crossover.
Okay, that's stupid.
In from Insidious and then Sinister. In Sinister. All one word.
Mm.
Yeah. I think they could have been more creative, but I don't mind that.
I like Insidious way better than Sinister.
Yes.
It's much better movies.
Yeah. I think just the look of the demon was
Darth Maul, basically.
well, it was interesting because Darth Maul isn't the only one. Like you have Darth Maul, you have the woman
Oh
that's
yeah.
like actually the main
Mm-hmm.
demon.
Ugh, creepy.
So this was the first time that the twins starred as main characters in a horror movie.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Um, so my last one is Bagul, a pagan deity, and he is modeled after Moloch. How much do you know about Moloch? Moloch.
Not much.
So Moloch is written in the Bible. They talk about Moloch a few different times. I believe one of the first references is in Leviticus.
Okay.
So, what Moloch is kind of portrayed as is this pagan deity in which parents sacrifice their children for his favor, for whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if you don't believe in pagan deities, like, it's not going to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think it would affect me at all. It's to me, it's a false god.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so depending on what articles you read online, Bagul is allegedly the brother of Moloch.
Hmm.
So what's interesting is I think Bagul was modeled after Moloch because as opposed to Moloch having the parents sacrifice their children, Bagul has the children sacrifice their parents for his favor.
Interesting.
Yeah. And even in the ham radio recording, what it's translating to when the girl yells, the little girl, is
Mm-hmm.
um, like, stop yelling, be quiet. Bagul can't hear me.
Yeah.
So,
So he's recruiting all these kids to do the dirty work for him.
well, it's kind of like they're sacrificing their parents as an offering to him. Like, show me you're worthy and you can come
Mm-hmm.
with me. Why they want to go with him, I have no idea. Like, they
Because
never talk about
they're
that.
innocent children.
Yeah, but why would they want to go with a demon?
I don't know.
Like,
Because
what's the actual motivation for them to do any of this stuff?
I think they are like, I don't know. What is that word called?
Stockholm
Hypnotized?
syndrome?
No.
I mean,
They're hypnotized into,
maybe.
or possessed basically,
Yeah, maybe.
to where they can't control anything. Like they're basically gone. Like they're not
Yeah.
themselves anymore.
Hmm. I don't know. But I thought that's the only real, like, learning about Bagul or Moloch that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a whole rabbit trail I could have gone down, and I was like, I think I need to stop there because that's going to get real dark
Better not.
real quick. So
Yeah.
that's all I got.
All right.
That was
Cool.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really long, but
Nah, it's shorter than, I don't know, it's about the same as everything else.
all right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Let us know what you think about these movies. You probably won't, but um,
We're gonna
try anyways.
we're gonna fake manifest that people are gonna listen to this one.
Yeah,
Do you
maybe.
want to say my end phrase?
What's your end phrase?
It's not very
Keep it,
difficult.
keep it cool.
San Diego. Bye.
Oh, that one. Okay, yeah. Bye.